Hello and welcome to This Week of the Movies. I'm Matt,
And I'm Eric.
and this week we are rebuilding our show with Megalon.
Dang it.
This week we are talking about the Francis Ford Coppola
Hang on. Let me turn everything faded and gold and weird for a second.
Megalopolis, which is now out in theaters, meaning you can see it if you feel you must, or if your curiosity level is high enough. This is certainly, it's a huge weekend for releases. There are 4 theatrical releases, there are 5 or 6 streaming releases out. Everybody just dumped everything to the end of September. We thought this might be the one everybody will be talking about. I still think that's the case, but maybe not for the reasons we thought. This one comes from Francis Ford Coppola, the celebrated director who 5 decades ago gave us The Godfather, The Godfather 2, The Conversation, which I think is an incredibly underrated film. Gave us Apocalypse Now, gave us Bram Stoker's Dracula. So there was a lot of interest in this movie, Megalopolis, which he has supposedly been trying to get made for decades. He finally got this together. It's meant to be a fable that I guess is supposed to tell us something about humanity and the world, but I'll leave it to you to decide what that is. It's definitely heavily influenced by a fascination with Roman culture and the Roman Empire. In fact, even though it apparently takes place in America and there are still things like the Statue of Liberty and they still sing the Star Spangled Banner, it is the city of New Rome, which at the beginning, this was only part of my confusion. At the beginning, they tell you it's New Rome, part of the New Roman Empire in the 21st century. But they keep sliding into things that are part of 21st century America, and I don't know.
It's New York, man.
I don't know if it's just we've forgotten about all this or we don't know. But basically, the central conflict takes place between the political powers, the mayor, Mayor Cicero, played by Giancarlo Esposito, who probably fired his agent after watching a rough cut of this, and Caesar Catalina, played by Adam Driver, who's supposed to be in charge of rebuilding
fired his agent after.
No, I've seen Adam Driver's work. He likes to do varied and weird stuff. He made a freaking movie with Puppet 2 years ago.
No,
Puppet or Marionette Romance that they made work. So he probably looked at this as challenge accepted.
I don't know the year it came out, but one of my favorite movies that I've seen him in was The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, which was Terry Gilliam's I want to make a movie for decades, and finally I got to make it movie. So I was kind of like, yeah.
But this cast is pretty varied. Nathalie Emmanuel, who I loved on Game of Thrones, who I maintain needs more projects, but better projects, is between the tepid John Woo film The Killer, which was released earlier this month on Netflix or on Peacock, and this movie. She's getting projects, but I still think she deserves better. Aubrey Plaza, who fully leans into a just batshit character here, that's named
Aggressive.
Wow Platinum. A strange and ailing performance from Jon Voight. They threw Shia LaBeouf in here as a sometimes cross-dressing creep who may or may not be boinking his sisters. It feels like an on-brand role for him. He and Aubrey Plaza near the end of this film have a scene that I can never unsee.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was like in the screening you went to, but there was a lot of laughter at times, which makes sense because some of this comes off as patently ridiculous. I don't think it was intended to be a comedy. I'm gonna just say what it reminds me of. First of all, I'm giving this 2 thumbs down. If you've seen anything that I put on Twitter or have noted about this movie, I gave it half a star. If you follow me on Letterboxd, you also will have seen that I updated this to be my number 1 on my list of bottom 5 films of the year. Night Swim.
I beat Night Swim.
Appreciation for you. Afraid. I have a greater appreciation for you. First time female director, which I did not think was going to get moved off my number one worst film I'd seen this year, has now slid to number two. Kind of a blow, probably, for that movie. There are some not winners in there, but this is the biggest not winner for me. You know what it reminds me of? I don't know if you ever saw, IFC did this, and it was definitely intended as a comedy, called The Spoils of Babylon, which had this, high dialogue. Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig are in it, and it's meant to be kind of a ripoff of somber and serious soap operatic things.
Okay.
But it's completely played to be a joke, and that is tonally and dialogue wise and performance wise how this came out for me, except for they weren't
Wasn't trying to
trying
be.
to do a joke. Especially when you get to this like robust ending that I think is supposed to be telling us something about humanity and the world, but God only knows what it is. And what is that camera angle up from the ground staring at a baby? They never really explain how he can start and stop time on occasion, or what he's even using that for.
If he even can, if that's not just like this weird, because I know they make it seem like she's able to see that he can do it, so it's like concrete, diegetic in the world that he can do it, but also she could also have this creative spark in her mind that lets her see the world the way he does. Or
And at the end, their baby seems to have it. So,
yeah,
spoiler alert, there's a baby at the end. I hope this doesn't ruin the movie for you. Anyway, I love Francis Ford Coppola, and I spent probably a good couple of hours sitting there wondering how the same man that made The Godfather, or The Conversation. If you've never seen The Conversation with Gene
I've
Hackman,
heard
that is a brilliant 1970s thriller. How the same man that made those two movies made this absolute steaming pile of madness. It is. It is. I did not have high expectations, but this managed to dive below any expectation I've ever had. As I said,
yeah.
2 thumbs down. If you like watching slow motion train wrecks that play out over 2.5 hours and show you Shia LaBeouf's pubic hair, this is the movie for you.
Yeah. I don't need to see this movie ever again. And that's a frustrating thing, is when those credits started to roll, I leaned over to my friend Curtis and I said, I don't want to work. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, this movie obviously demands that you try and like think about and puzzle things together. And there are going to be some people out there who like it, who are like pausing things and like in the Coliseum are like looking to see what those QR codes were on the things, like, and all this stuff. Like, I don't want to work. This movie did not make me want to do the work that it asks me to do. And for a movie that's all about the degradation of society and trying to somehow save it with like a utopian society, it sure spends a lot of the movie just watching everything collapse and collapse and collapse. And then it feels like right at the end of the movie, there's like 2 scenes, bump, bump, and then the utopia is there.
Yeah, it doesn't, like, how did he build it? And how did nobody know? They kept saying, where is it? He's not close to finishing it. I'm sorry, that fence was not tall enough to prevent you from seeing that there was some space stuff going on in the middle of town.
Oh, it was so bizarre. I feel so bad that this is dedicated to his late wife. Like, it feels, I really hope he is satisfied for all the years of going through it. I really hope he is, because there's that element of like, you've made your movie, you got to put it out on the stage for other people to see it, and you got to see what their reaction is. And I know some people like that. I think I liked the idea of this movie, and I'm only giving it 1 thumb down because of the execution of an idea that I think, like, having like a grand Shakespearean fable of the rich and their collapse of society and ways to move forward, and a hero who is trying to, if he even is a hero, if this whole thing isn't a twisted commentary on how dystopian everything is, like, he's trying to give us another future to look forward to, a way out of this continuing cycling depression. I like that core idea. I like the study of Adam Driver's character. I don't know. So many things in this movie seem to be going a direction and then just stop going a direction. Like when he goes to visit who he sees his dead wife and he's like braiding her hair. And
but she wasn't really there. It was
she
him
she
rewinding
wasn't
time.
really there.
And why were there nurses?
I don't know. I don't know. See, this is, but like other times that he's getting these gold sparkled visions of Megalodon, the love interest. I'm sorry. Can you remember me the actress's name?
Nathalie Emmanuel.
Yes, Nathalie Emmanuel can see him stop time, cannot see his wife in the bed or the nurses around, but can see when he's looking at his wife's death and the DA prosecution and the Megalodon. Like, so I don't understand what is real and what isn't, and then why Adam Driver would just like continue to visit this location.
Also, it's not really just, it doesn't feel like it's really just stopping time, because it seems like he's like controlling physics too, because when you first see it at the beginning, it's not just that he stops time, he can like move things through time and space, prevent himself mid step off from,
Make an alcohol bottle come back.
yeah, there, though it's even more confused than that. And also, I just have to be honest, a couple of those scenes I'm sure were meant to look cool, but I was completely on edge when they are on the steel beams hanging out over nothing, just walking around. I'm like, no, dude, this is not where I want to see a romance. I am not feeling the romance here. I'm
feeling the tension,
the paranoia and the tension, because I do not. I mean, you're just casually like popping up. Tell me you're on a green screen without telling me you're on a green screen. There is no stakes for the actors, but the visual there is just terrifying.
No, in that scene, he's explaining he does not have his time-stopping powers.
Yeah, and he's just sitting on the edge of it. And how are those things being held up? Because I did not see a crane.
And he
They're
seems
just
to be
floating.
standing on one of the tallest buildings in the city. So, you know, it is so bizarre.
One of the weird things about getting shot in the, reconstructing your face wasn't my biggest concern about that gunshot wound. And then it just went back to normal.
Yeah, just I honestly thought that was going to give him some sort of different view on things. I thought that's another one that I think was going somewhere and then didn't go anywhere.
Giancarlo Esposito and Nathalie Emmanuel gave a performance that reflects that they thought they were in a completely different movie than Aubrey Plaza, who seemed to believe that she was in the Francis Ford Coppola sequel to Spoils of Babylon.
Oh my gosh.
Not that the performances are bad. It just feels like they are tonally in completely different films.
I actually loved Aubrey Plaza. I think she understood the assignment with the tone. Like, regardless of how she's being directed and what she is being asked to do, I think her performance was right for what is going on.
Performance was good, but Shia LaBeouf and Aubrey Plaza are in a different movie than some of these other actors.
I kind of want to see that movie, but also I don't, because how Aubrey Plaza's story ends is one of the most infuriating moments of the year in movies to me. That was absolutely cartoony. That was ridiculous.
You mean going from a penis tent joke to a major character being killed in 10 seconds?
Yeah, not even 10 seconds. Just like,
well, and then it's like, and I will leave it all to the people and I will become their hero. And I'm like, what
does that mean? What does that mean? How do you leave a bank to multiple people? What?
I don't know. He was obviously contacting the people that set up the Green Bay Packers to find out how to deed, because that franchise is wholly owned by the city. So he was finding out how to deed his bank.
Okay.
Yeah, don't try to apply logic here. Honestly, if I thought they were going for comedy, I might
it might not
180 this, but I don't think in any way they're trying. I'm fairly confident based on first of all, my other takeaway is I would like Lawrence Fishburne to narrate everything in my life, because you get these stirring pronouncements, and there are just, the reason I'm fairly confident it's meant to be serious. I mean, you have Adam Driver, the first big kind of sequence for him. He comes out and he basically delivers Hamlet's to be or not to be speech in
Yep.
public in a very, I mean, it made no sense, but it was like meant to be very stirring about the history of time and space. And you have him and Giancarlo Esposito going back and forth. They're just, the tone is just all over the map. And then you have Shia LaBeouf showing up as like a Roman woman in high heels.
Yeah, I like that to me.
Groping his sister.
Right, but like,
I'm like,
it's funny.
what is
There's
this
a
wedding
movie
that I'm attending here?
There's a movie that I doubt Francis Ford Coppola wants us to be compared to that made me kind of not blink at that. It's called Repo, the Genetic Opera from 2008. Have you seen that?
No.
Okay, well, in this rock opera horror movie where Paris Hilton gets her face ripped off, there
You
is
have my
this.
attention.
Yeah, there is this family of like 3 siblings who are the heirs to like the fortune of like a head of a thing, and all of them are like, one of them wears like people's faces and whatnot, and this is a world where you can have your body genetically modified with like parts you can buy off of a market and like all this stuff. It's a cool movie, but it made me, I was thinking a lot of that movie when I was watching this because of like a lot of obvious green screen and a lot of melodrama among the elite of society that are all kind of spoiled and like fighting over each other. And it's just kind of like, so you have like the eccentric makeup, like feminine for lack of a better term, one in that situation, and then you have like the super violent like brother who is trying to get things done in that one, and then you have Paris Hilton who's like a spoiled like grand whatever. So I recognize this as being kind of familiar, and yeah,
the guy that directed that directed like 3 Saw movies in a row.
yes, it was like the director was like making Saw movies and then zipped over to do a passion project that was a stage play rock opera by this guy. It's interesting. I've listened to the songs for a long time, but I think it prepped me for some of this movie in a way that I don't think this movie wanted me to be prepared. So yeah.
Well, we'll move on from Megalopolis. Neither of us
Yeah.
enjoyed it. I understand if you want to go check it out for curiosity factor, but there are so many wonderful films out right now, and this is not one of them. We do want to bounce onto the small screen, being as it is spooky season. Last week, we got the pretty epic debut of the latest series from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Only had one film this year, which was Deadpool versus Wolverine. Not a lot from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This series, Agatha All Along, reunites us with Catherine Hahn's Agatha Harkness, who we met in WandaVision, which was actually the first of the truly Marvel MCU shows. I know they've retconned a lot of the Netflix Marvel shows back into the MCU.
Yeah.
But this was their kind of first step out. It was in January of 2021, so it's been a minute. And we left kind of Agatha Harkness's character pinned in, is it Westview?
Yes.
I think it's Westview, yeah.
Yep.
At the end of that show, this one picks up 3 years later with her still pinned there. She basically comes out of a little bit of a funk after an episode, realizing she's missing her powers and needs to go down the witch's road to get it back. That sets you up for this series. It debuted on a Wednesday night, but new episodes go on Thursdays hereafter, culminating with the 2-episode finale on Halloween. So it's a show about witches in the MCU that is set to expire on Halloween. That makes it a perfect kind of fall drop-in. I saw the first 4 before this came out. I really enjoyed. I think 3 are out now. The third one dropped on Thursday. I enjoyed the setup here. Aubrey Plaza in this one. It's a big time for Aubrey Plaza. She's in here. She's in 2 movies in theaters right now, one of which
My
is
old
horrendous, one of which is charming in its own way.
Awesome.
So she's got a lot going on. I liked her back and forth with Catherine Hahn. You see them in the pilot. You won't see them for a couple of episodes, but I promise she will come back. That photo that I just flashed, that's a popular still from the show, probably illuminates that. But a good cast here. I liked how it jumps off in the pilot, very much a callback to WandaVision, and it is the same showrunner who did WandaVision, so that sort of makes sense. Stylistically, tonally, they do a little bit something different after that, but I did like the way it kind of has a little bit of a different setup and a little bit of a different tone in different spots. I really enjoyed Agatha all along. I'm having fun with it. I'm excited to see where it's going from here. But definitely enjoyed that a lot more than Megalopolis. This one is meant to be humorous and a little bit of an interesting tone. Megalopolis, I think, had it been a comedy, might have worked better. But you have seen the first 3. You've been watching it on Disney Plus. Are you enjoying Agatha?
Absolutely. I more than I thought I would. Like for example, there's a song, and this song it is like telegraphing at you, go get this song off of Spotify and iTunes. Go get this song off of Spotify and iTunes. And I wanted to dislike it. But
did you see the people doing the music for this are this writing team that did the music for Frozen?
Yeah, I don't know. I am sold. I have the song like downloaded and I'm listening to it. And I'm so in the vibes for this. This is the right time of year. I love the production design of this. It's a little like Disney Channel Halloween, but like I'm here for it. And then particularly it's getting better episode by episode for me. I was really engaged in the first episode where it's kind of a direct next episode of WandaVision. And then you're introduced to Aubrey Plaza's character and they set up this like Omen thing. And then you move on to the second episode where we're introduced to the cast of characters that are going to be prominent in the show. And I really, really enjoyed that. And them coming together to sing the song and get ready to go down the witch's road. That was like, okay, I'm on board. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. And the payoff in episode 3 of starting to go through the trials, I thought it was phenomenal. And then there's like a twist I won't spoil, the very end of episode 3, and it established that there are, hopefully what I'm getting is there are real stakes to the show for the characters. And that to me is like okay, check, people know what they're doing show running with the production design and the story and the characters. Check, like all of the characters in this story are great and there's a few mysteries going on with like what's going on with this character's face. And then check, there are real stakes for these characters that you're invested in to go on. You're going to care about it. Like I'm so excited for more episodes of this. And I know you've seen episode 4, so I'm hoping that like that holds. I don't know if you can say anything.
Yeah, if you liked what they did in 3, I think you'll like what they did in 4, which gives me an idea that episode 3, essentially they have to go through a challenge, and they have a very specific setup for that challenge. In 4, they have to go through the next challenge, which has a very kind of specific setup and feel and genre for that.
Okay.
So I think that's what it's going to be, kind of going down. And I like that they have the 2-episode finale on Halloween. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I think that was some ideal timing. It's been a weird fall for them launching shows not where they're going to be, because like they made a big deal, Agatha all along launching on Wednesday night, and you're like, oh well, this is going to be Wednesday. No, it's a Thursday show. And then the following day they had a big Thursday at 9 p.m. we're launching Penguin. Oh, it must be, no, it's going to Sundays at 9 starting this. So people probably went on Thursday and they were like, well, I can watch Penguin. No, you can't. it's now a Sunday
Watch
night
Agatha.
at 9 HBO show. So, I mean, a lot of these things are launching in weird time. They even did it on network TV. They launched the pilot for Matlock on Sunday after football, and it's not coming back for a month. And when it does, it'll be on its regular night and time on Thursdays at 9. And I'm like, dude,
Wow.
it is hard enough with all the new things that come out to keep track of everything without
Yeah.
you launching
Remixing
things
it.
like, you know, launching things. At least Agatha, you only had to wait a week. Like Penguin's 10 days. I don't know what CBS is thinking with Matlock. They dropped it on September 22nd, and its second episode will be October 17th.
Cool.
That is a gap.
Yeah.
And there have been just a flood of stuff. So if you're interested in shows and stuff, I try to track pilots that I'm watching, of which there have been so many. I feel like I'm between the NFL and film and TV right now. I don't know which way I'm going. Watching a lot of games, which is why we're introducing a segment for this fall, just because there is so much out there, and we like to pick a movie that we can go back and forth and deep dive into, and we have a lot of fun. And there are usually like one major release. Like next week there are a whole bunch of things coming out, but there's only one that everyone's going to be talking about, which is why we're looking at
Mhm.
Joker the musical, which I don't know if you saw it. Lady Gaga released her companion album already, which we're pretty sure is all music from the film. It's 41 minutes. It's got like 10 tracks on it. I'm pretty sure that that's the original music from the film. It's her
Interesting.
companion. I think it's called Harley.
Okay.
So it's on Spotify now. It dropped yesterday. A little precursor. I don't really want to listen to anything. I want it to wash over me
Yeah.
when I see the film. But
Yeah, I'm gonna want context. I don't wanna yeah.
we are going to try to wrap up some of these fall ones. Eric and I have different interests, but also different access to things. So we watch a lot of different things where we can highlight something we watched that we enjoyed. So I'll let you kick it off. What is something you saw this week?
So it's a movie that drives me crazy. I saw Cobweb, and I finally heard all the fuss about why everyone doesn't like the third act of that movie. And I understand it. There is an amazing horror movie in this movie, but based on I'm gonna get a little spoilery about this movie. There is a voice in the walls that's teasing this kid and is trying to ask him for help. So the kid decides to try to help, and it turns out the parents have hidden his sister in the walls and had her living in the walls because
Oh, yeah.
she was born looking evil. So they built just like a cage, and they just like immediately tried to not raise her like a normal human being, which automatically starts my questions off immediately in a weird way. And then apparently, even though my takeaway from the movie is, oh, obviously the girl on the wall is lying, there's this little girl that disappeared, and the little girl says, hey, the parents killed her. You can find the bones in the backyard. Obviously, the girl on the wall is lying, and when the girl got found out, she killed him, and the parents had to bury the girl for the girl in the wall. No. What happened in the movie, apparently, is a little girl in the community, like 3 years before this movie starts, saw the sister in the walls and went to go find her out. And the parents killed this little girl to keep the sister a secret and buried her, which means all the way up to the end of this movie, the sister in the wall has never done anything evil to anyone.
She just looks evil.
She just looks evil. And then when she's freed, all of a sudden she's a killing monster and she murders like 5 people.
Sometimes the limited release horror, and I believe this one's on Hulu, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes the limited release horror. I watch, I subscribe to Hulu. That's how we do live TV. And they are great about popping up all kinds of original films every week, and I will screen them. When you said the name, I'm like, I think I've seen this one. And then I remembered Lizzie Kaplan's in it and Anthony Starr, if you watch The Boys. You will recognize him.
Yeah.
I remember thinking throughout there was some potential here, and then getting to the end and being like, well, that was of all the movies I've seen, this is one of them.
Yeah, there is a point where you could shut the movie off, and it is the girl has gotten her revenge by manipulating the boy that they think was not the monster into, spoiler alert, killing the parents. Okay? That idea that the sister is like, who's the real monster? Like, I got you to kill your parents. Then she takes the boy, locks him in the room, and says, I think you'll be safe in here, and locks him in. And she's out, and him, having killed, is locked in the house. That is a perfect ending to this super creepy story. And it would have been about an hour long if you chop off the unnecessary bits of the ending and whatnot. And it would have been this.
It's not a super long movie as is.
It's only like an hour and 28 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it's smooth, really effective pacing, really creepy. This is one of those movies that it was so entertaining that I cared to do the work to understand it. It's just that what I ended up understanding is that there are so many flaws in the decisions made here that I wish the movie was different towards the end. Like, I have this whole subplot where a substitute teacher wants to come and save the kid, and she never calls the police, never calls Family and Child Services. She never does really anything other than, like, literally in the movie, in the middle of the day, the boy calls her and gives this huge red flag where he's like, help me. And then the mom gets on the phone and takes it away from him and says, oh, he's just being silly, and hangs up on her. And she's in the classroom, and then you don't see her again until nighttime, and she's driving to their house. She did nothing during the day except wait until dark to go investigate what's happening to the kid. It's just messy. It's
well, we are in the season though where you're going to start getting a lot of these. Hulu usually has a new horror drop all of October, so those are coming. Actually, next Thursday there are not one but 3 horror films dropping on streaming all at the same time. Hold Your Breath, which is set during the Dust Bowl in Oklahoma in the 30s. I've seen that one on a screener. That was fairly interesting, very kind of dour setting. Ariana DeBois is in House of Spoils, which is about a haunted craft restaurant. And then Salem's Lot, the new version of Salem's Lot, drops on Max. So I'm sure we will talk about maybe one of them.
We're gonna watch Salem's Lot for sure.
Yeah, so we'll probably do Salem's Lot along with Joker next week, because I will definitely have seen that one as well.
I don't know if I can see it by Friday though.
Well,
because I have to go see Joker. Man.
Well, it's on streaming. It comes out Thursday. We'll see. There'll be a lot of vampires. I'll send you a message after I watch it, and you'll decide how you feel about it.
Yeah.
Like last night when Thursday night when I gave you a moment of pause when I said how much I hated Megalopolis. So there are I mentioned a lot of things out this week. There was a special Fathom event, which it's not currently playing in theaters, but I think it's coming to VOD pretty quick, which is Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. I went and saw the special Fathom event of that documentary about his life and his family and his wife, and the accident that paralyzed him, and kind of how that changed things in his recovery. And it was beautiful and emotional. I really enjoyed that. That's one of my favorite documentaries of the year. But then the day after, unfortunately for Megalopolis, I saw this one right before Megalopolis, but there's a new animated film. We mentioned last week how much we both liked Transformers 1, and that we have not seen a ton of great original animated films this year, but The Wild Robot, which comes from DreamWorks, has a great voice cast, includes Lupita Nyong'o, Pedro Pascal, Mark Hamill, Matt Berry. It is a lot of fun and was very emotional and very beautifully constructed. I wasn't sure what to make of this. It's kind of got a little bit of a mysterious trailer, but it had gotten some good early buzz, and it definitely lives up to the buzz. So if you were looking for one to take the kids and the family to, I would encourage you to check out The Wild Robot. Um, we actually have gotten on back-to-back weeks 2 really good animated films. And when you combine that with Inside Out 2, I think those are the 3 kind of that are rising up for me in the world of animation so far. We have one more big kind of animated release in November, that's Moana 2, and we'll see how that fits in. But I really liked The Wild Robot. We both really liked Transformers 1. So a couple of great kind of family-friendly options, which is nice as we head into an October, which is going to have a lot of award contenders and horror films. Horror films, have been a big staple of this year, but I can't.
2024.
I can't imagine you taking your children to go see Joker 2 or Smile 2 or The Terrifier 3, which is basically our next 3 weeks of releases. So cling on to that Wild Robot. Dig in. It did really well in preview screenings. I think it actually may end up being number 1 or 2 at the box office this week, depending on if something that's held over keeps doing well. So, that is a movie that I would recommend going to check out, especially if you're looking for something light and happy that you can watch with your kids, which, we can all use at some point in time.
Yep.
But I saw that screening. There was, mother and kids that had a good time. I was in there. I had a good time. There was an older gentleman that I chatted with in the hallway as we were heading out that just went to go watch it, that enjoyed it. So I think it is fun for all ages. So we started with a dumpster fire, but we're ending on a good note, sort of.
Yep.
So
there's hope in the future, and it has nothing to do with Megalodon.
Megalon.
Megalodon is a shark. You know what? I would be more interesting if they built a utopian society around megalodons.
I mean, if he would have brought the dinosaurs back, that might have put a whole new spin on that.
Yeah. Secret Jurassic Park.
I can't wait for next week because I loathe Joker with the Fire of 1,000 Suns. So I don't know what I'm going to make of this sequel. And if I recall, did you like Joker?
I like the movie. Don't like the way people are a fan of Joker and like the whole online thing. Like I don't like anything about its cultural impact. And I don't like Todd Phillips. This is another David Gordon Green.
See, I enjoyed Todd Phillips as a comedy director. The Hangover remains one of my favorite.
I like the first Hangover, and I kind of like Due Date. I'm kind of mixed on that one.
Oh yeah, that one's pretty.
And then I never saw War Dogs, but that was another one that I wanted to, with Miles Teller and Jonah Hill. And that's the thing, is when he's making comedies and he has this edgy, gritty style of filmmaking, I feel like there's something about that works. But when he is trying to do things like as a drama, his style.
Well,
it's just
when I heard they were making a sequel to Joker, the light went out of my eyes a little bit. But then I watched the trailer, and I mean, I really do like Lady Gaga. And even though I did not care for that movie, Joaquin Phoenix gave a pretty strong performance. So I'm mildly curious. Let's just say I'm ready to be hurt again, which I'm sure is what will happen to me next Thursday.
Yeah. Oh, the Crow director, whoever that guy is, that's the other one. I have like. Yeah, I just have issues with the way the directors defend their projects and what their views seem to be. Like, this is another one. So I don't have my expectations are buried in the ground for Joker 2. But
maybe it'll help having lower expectations, because I do wonder. I mean, I had some philosophical qualms with what they did with the story, but I also had. People had hyped up the first one before I went to see it, and I was so angry. Like, that is probably the lowest rated comic book movie in my comic book movie ratings. It's
I don't think so. I've seen them. There's some ones down there.
Maybe Dark Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix is at the bottom.
Might be the
yeah.
bottom. But you know what? Depending on the day, I might prefer watching Dark Phoenix.
Hey,
this. So we'll see how that goes. Should be a fun and interesting time, and then we'll see what other interesting things we see during the week. But you can find The Wild Robot and Megalopolis in theaters this weekend. Agatha All Along streaming on Disney Plus. New episodes drop every Thursday through Halloween. So that'll do it for us today. Until next week, we will see you guys at the movies.